Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Welcome to the third episode of the fourth season, $1 Trillion Problem of the fourth podcast. I'm Ali Wazir.
I'm Ibrahim Radi.
And I'm Talha Muhammad.
And you can help us grow by giving us a follow on Instagram at thefourth.productions and Twitter at thefourth_prod, P-R-O-D. So thank you all for joining us again for another episode of the fourth podcast.
In this episode, we'll continue our discussion on campus life and student debt. As Ali mentioned before, we will talk about this theme through the lens of wellness today.
Yeah, exactly. Ibrahim, you just mentioned the theme of wellness. Well, wellness applies in a variety of different aspects on campus, whether it be student organizations, how students fraternize together on campus as well, sports, and just so many other things about how students can get together and how that affects their, not only like their mental health, but also their physical health specifically.
Yeah, speaking of mental health, though, we're not going to talk about that in this episode, but stay tuned for the next episode because we will have a special guest on to discuss exactly that with us.
But speaking of physical health, y'all have corona or anything?
We all
Too soon. We're doing well. Alhamdulillah.
Speaking from in the middle of our quarantine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is a quarantine.
Quote-unquote quarantine.
Yeah, crazy how the three of us got quarantined together.
Yeah, no.
That's crazy, right? I literally can't leave. Yeah, so we were talking about
Physical
wellness, right? So one aspect of physical wellness is how we interact and we conduct activities in sporting and stuff like that, right? And then the most elite of us in those activities like football, basketball, swimming, gymnastics, they go on to compete in college level. And I'm speaking college level because we're all college aged individuals. We all go on to compete in college level athletic endeavors, I guess you would say. Like the NCAA would be like one of the main governing bodies of these athletic organizations.
What is the NCAA?
I don't know what it stands for, but it's like NCAA is like. It's like the NBA, for basketball and football and that sort of stuff.
I believe it's the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
You're probably right. Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. We'll go with that. Yeah.
But the thing is, the thing is that they're incredibly corrupt and they're incredibly corrupt and they don't pay their athletes. They don't allow their athletes to. They don't allow their athletes to profit off their image and their likeness. And they go so far as to lobby Congress and states that are passing these laws which will allow these athletes to gain wealth and influence from their performance and from their likeness and their name. They go and they lobby these lawmakers that are trying to pass them against these bills, so that they go to extreme extents to. So that they can make millions of dollars off of these athletes' hard work, and what do people usually say? Oh yeah, their college is being paid for, or tuition is free and they have free. Yeah, of course that's the case. That is true. But how much does that cost per year per athlete? Not that much compared to the amount of money that they're producing, and we see this problem all across all sorts of career opportunities and career path, where especially in our economic system. Where people are not paid the full value of their labor.
Mm-hmm. So just to clarify, in 2019, the NCAA actually unanimously agreed, at least the Board of Governors did, to allow for students to be compensated for their image and name and likeness. However, there have been no legitimate plans for rolling out that agreement. So even this last season that abruptly got canceled, right? Like March Madness got canceled, a lot of tournaments got canceled. Even though this agreement occurred last year, we still do not see athletes getting paid for their likeness, their name.
And if I recall correctly, they heavily lobbied against this this thing.
Yeah, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, colleges utilize it as a means to generate revenue, whether it's through utilizing the player's likeness and name, or television commercials, right? Getting ABC, NBC, Fox, all these big corporations to pay billions. They literally pay millions, like hundreds of millions of dollars, just to have Alabama versus X, Y, or Z on football, right? And millions will tune into that game.
Yeah.
So revenue just goes up. Ads, right? Who, like State Farm or whoever sponsors specific teams, Nike's deals. Like, it's a whole web almost of different organizations. So.
And not to mention too that like these athletes are putting their physical health and their future career opportunities on the line too, and they're sacrificing all this time, energy, and like mental like capacity, like because it takes a lot of like mentally it takes a lot out of a person to be an athlete, to go and perform in front of like hundreds of thousands of people, like whether that be on TV and on like in person. So it takes a lot out of a person to do that, and they're sacrificing like their prime years in their life to this university or to this college, and for them not to be compensated enough for that is actually, like, in my opinion, is terrible.
So Ibrahim, I don't really know too much about college sports to begin with. I'm not very like plugged in or anything, but I'm gonna ask you, like, why would anyone like consider playing sports for a college and not just go directly into like professional leagues or something? Like, could you explain it to me and any listeners who
Yeah,
are
so
not
specifically for the NBA, right? Because like that's where like the majority of my sporting knowledge is.
NBA is like for basketball.
Yeah, basketball. Yeah. So so there used to be an option where you could go directly from high school into the NBA. Like LeBron James did that, and a lot of other athletes.
Kobe
did
Shaq.
that. So, but then recently, and then recently, they added this stipulation where you cannot go straight from high school into the league. You have to spend 1 year in college, and now we have this phenomenon in college where it's called a one and done athlete. So you go there for 1 year, and then you declare for the NBA draft. And the NBA draft is where you select players, where teams select players to come play for them.
Oh, okay.
So and then you declare for that draft as soon as you get done with your first year of college. So you're making millions of dollars for this college, and you're putting in so much time and so much effort, and you're putting your body on the line because you have to perform well in college, right? For you to perform well in the NBA draft or to be selected to play in the NBA. So you have to perform and you have to hit these metrics, whether that be in points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, blocks per game, whatever metric that you are specialized in. And you see, like, I'm very unfortunate to see that there's a lot of players that go all out, like they go sicko mode, like when they're playing, like when they're playing in the NBA, when they're playing in the college season, and like they tear something, they break something, and that severely inhibits their success and their future career opportunities because they put so much into the game that they're currently playing, which is college level, whatever they're playing. One really good example of this is I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he was a quarterback. I'm forgetting the team. Tua. Remember what happened to him? He broke his hip.
Yep.
Like he was playing. It was a college football quarterback. Like he was playing a game, and then he got really badly injured, like terribly injured. He was like one of the top draft prospects.
Yeah, he's Alabama's quarterback.
Yeah, Alabama's quarterback, and now his future is very uncertain because teams are not willing to select him as high as they would have before his injury. And what did he get out of all of this? Nothing. Like, oh yeah, he might have gotten a college degree, but like the college degree, like we discussed before, like your opportunities are pretty limited compared to if you're going to become an athlete and make millions of dollars. And we see this happen like throughout different sports too. It's not just specific to like any one sport. Like, it happens throughout like all different sporting activities, I guess.
So do either one of you know like what was the influence behind making high school athletes spend at least 1 year in college? Like, was the NCAA like lobbying for that or something, or?
Oh, in regards to getting rid of the high school to pros directly.
Yeah. Like, what was the rationale behind that?
To the best of my knowledge, that happened in 2006. Is like the Article 10, like the NBA Constitution, or like the NBA and the PA, the Players Association. They got together and they instituted it. The main reason and the main factor was obviously, number one, to the best of my knowledge, was to increase the league's quality of play, which I think is a little fishy, personally, because you have guys like LeBron coming out, Kobe coming out. You still have like guys like Brandon Jennings, who still came out and still was a decent player, right? More recently, was a decent player. And that came out, Emmanuel Mudiay, right? He went to school
peace,
here.
My boy has corona.
Oh, Mudiay?
Yeah, Mudiay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Getting quick.
Yeah.
So it actually benefited everyone because it also increased revenue. Because an example of such was Carmelo. Melo in 2003 when he went to Syracuse as a freshman, and then he made the national championship. And people saw, and 2003 was obviously before the 2006 article change, right? So everyone saw Carmelo play that 1 year in Syracuse and like make the national championship, big name, bigger crowds, bigger media hype, more revenue in that one player. So revenue change also, and then also the supposed increase in maturity and play of the players, which I think, like I mentioned before, is not.
I mean, I feel like when you say it's not true at all, it's like it's not true for if you look at specific cases like Kobe and LeBron.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like going to college and playing with the elevated level of competition does increase a player's level of play. What do you think? Eastern European basketball players are much more matured and they integrate into the league much faster than
Name a couple.
Luka,
Yeah.
Kristaps,
Okay.
Dirk.
Okay.
This is off the top of my head. They're all nice players now.
Yeah.
Weird.
But
I could name a couple others. But
I'm sure you could, but they've been playing since they were like 16, man.
Yeah, and they've been playing in leagues with like grown men. So like their physicality and their level of play is much more matured than when it comes to like somebody that's coming out of 1 year in college. Or it's like you always look at rookies and stuff, like they always have great seasons and stuff, but like their progression curve is like it takes a while for them to get started. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like it's like it would either be like because like the 3-point line's a little bit further back, or like there's like bigger guy like you're playing with like the best of the best in the world. You're not playing with like any chumps in college. Like you know what I'm saying? Like even though like the guys in college probably like they're like
way better than me for sure.
Yeah, it's just like it's crazy. Like there's levels to it. NBA is something else completely. So I feel like maybe that would have been one of the reasonings behind it. But I mean, to the detriment of that fact is like you're still not mentally like if I was offered like tens of millions of dollars to play basketball right out of high school, like I don't know how I would have handled it. Like just think about it. Like if you as soon as you graduated high school, right?
Yeah.
You're like 18 years old.
You're 18 years old and you're given millions of dollars. Like you're not given the financial planning advice that you're supposed to have. Like you don't know how to pay tax. Like I don't know how to pay taxes.
Yeah,
Like,
but you're not in that situation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of goes to show that literally everyone that attends this American educational system,
we're very ill-prepared for the real world.
This crap, yeah.
Yeah, like we don't know how to pay taxes. We don't know how to save money. Like what do you have to save money for? Like what are the different expenses that you have to budget out? Like car payments. Like if you have millions of dollars, no car payments. You just buy a car in cash. You know what I'm saying? Well, like
obviously.
but it's like you go like on YouTube. There's so many videos of like athletes that how they explain how they blew their first paycheck. Yeah. Like I love watching
one recently.
Yeah, I love watching those because like it's amazing. Because like I would have like Shaq was talking about how he bought like an Escalade and he bought like $200,000 of stuff.
He dropped like $30,000 on Walmart. Dude.
Yeah, on Walmart. Like he actually dropped. This man actually dropped like $30,000 on Walmart.
No, he has a video about it. Yeah. Largest history in the purchase of Walmart. Yeah.
How on earth do you like drop $30,000 at Walmart? How many boxes of cereal is that?
Explains his size, man.
Yeah, it's a big man. But yeah, I understand your point. It's just I was surprised. I think to a certain degree, perhaps it may be incorrect, but like there's a certain niche of individuals that would like to have these players last for 4 years. You know, there's a great desire to have it because you can say, I mean, hypothetically, if you had like what's his name, Johnny Manziel, right? A few years back at A&M.
Johnny Manziel, yeah.
Or if you had,
And then he fizzled out as soon as he came to the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's more in regard to like basketball though, because you see more of these one and done players like Zion Williamson.
In football you don't really see that one and done thing.
Football they usually stay all 4 years to graduate, or maybe 2-3 years. Yeah. But it's mostly a basketball phenomenon where you see these guys one and done.
Yeah, and like that now we're seeing like a wave of alternative routes.
Mm-hmm.
I really despise bringing this name up, but I'm gonna make it because I'm gonna try to make a point here.
Yeah.
But LeVar Ball, I apologize for saying this.
Yeah.
But he one good thing that I think that he's doing is that he has an alternative route for players that want to make the NBA because of these that will allow players to profit off their name and likeness and progress. I'm forgetting what the league is called. Like
JBA.
The JBA, right? Yeah. It's like where it'll allow players to progress from like much faster and like showcase their talents and still get drafted into the NBA. Mm-hmm. And his son, LaMelo Ball, right, is actually doing a great service to like other athletes by, like he's projected to be a top 5 pick in the next NBA draft, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And and he didn't go to college. He never played college basketball.
Yeah.
He played in Australia. He played overseas. He played overseas ball, and he played in I think the JVA for a little bit. And like that's just providing another route for these athletes coming out of high school to go ahead and pursue these other opportunities, which will be more profitable and more beneficial to them in the long run. Mm. So I think that's actually something great that's been going on recently, where players just straight out of high school they go into overseas or something.
Mm.
I think you're exactly right. When it comes down to it, I personally think that going overseas is a better option for these players. The reason why is because you get money, you get to play with the big boys, right? You get to play with a greater competition level than you would in college. Let's be honest, more mature players. Mm-hmm. And then you have the possibility of coming back to the league. Like, it's a greater possibility of coming back to the league. Mm-hmm. College, generally speaking, you hear big names out of let's say 1,000 players, only 5 of them, like, their names are said. Even if you were a 5-star draft pick or a 5-star draft pick coming out of high school, then you go to college, bro, you get an injury, man, it's all over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, at least, and this is what happens is, a lot of players, they, even to get out of the league, right, the NBA, they go and play overseas. Mark Stoudemire, for example, right? He dipped, he went out of the league. Jeremy Lin, right? Mm-hmm. So these are still options where they'll pay you big bucks. Now, even if you don't hypothetically want to go to the pro, I'm not saying people don't want to go to the NBA. Obviously, every player does, right? Mm-hmm. But you still have that financial backing where, hey, I've made a few $100,000 in a foreign country. I'm still chilling. I'm still making good money. Okay.
One unfortunate, I know a lot of people like to rip on the WNBA, they like to dunk on them like real hard.
Yeah.
But the disparity in pay is kind of insane. Even if you want to say, a lot of people they say that women's sports don't get paid, that women don't get paid as much in sports because it's not that good. True, to a certain extent. But look at women's U.S. women's soccer, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are so much better than the men's team.
Yeah.
I know you watch soccer a little bit, but the disparity in between the women's team and the men's team is night and day, like ground and the sky. It's insane.
A lot of this has to do not with. It's not like the WNBA is worse than the NBA because women are worse at basketball. Mm-hmm. It's just because you're not funding them equally, right? Mm-hmm. You're not putting that same incentive over there. If you're gonna create an incentive economy, then give equal incentive.
Yeah, and the thing is that when women and still women are paid less than men.
Yeah.
U.S. women's soccer.
Oh yeah.
Players are paid less than men, which is just what?
Mind-boggling. Yeah.
What? What's going on here? And when they petitioned the owner or the president of the U.S. Soccer, he had to step down because of this. He was why should I pay you more because your game is easier for you guys?
Dang.
So I was like, oh man, that's messed up. But if you want to look at the disparity, because we're talking about basketball, right? Between WNBA and NBA, you know what the average the low like the lowest and the highest women's salary in basketball. The women's basketball is it's like between $70,000. It was like the lowest. Correct me if I'm wrong if you want to search this up or something.
Yeah.
I think the highest is like 250,000 at the most.
Damn.
And like NBA players, yeah, it's nothing. And like to support their families, you know what WNBA players do? In the WNBA offseason, they go and play in Russia and China and like Israel, because like they have a excuse me, it's an involuntary reflex.
They have a bigger market.
They have a bigger
probably,
market there,
yeah.
and they get paid much more than they get paid over here.
Mm-hmm.
And like just and the lowest NBA player salary might be like $800,000. Like this is for like some like scrub coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Dang.
Like even G League players, I'm pretty sure like they get paid more. Like it's really sad to see. And again, this kind of harkens back to the main point that we're trying to make, that we have like a certain group of individuals that are profiting off the hard work of a few individuals. Like the majority of individuals, right?
Yeah, I mean, like as warped as it may seem because of the way we're taught these terms, like athletes, even like especially college levels, even like past that, they're part of the working class. Just because their work like makes millions of dollars doesn't mean that they're still not exploitable and being exploited. Like even the fact that so many like basketball and football players in this country come from poor families, are like poor backgrounds, or marginalized minority groups, it shows like that they are being exploited. Not like especially for football, which I can speak on a little bit more than basketball. A lot of players like they didn't really have any choice. It was either this or they would succumb to like violence within their community. For a lot of them, they were just trying to escape that, and it's sad that a already vulnerable class of people are further subjugated to exploitation when they're just trying to make it out,
And like the masses of people think that these athletes are, and they are well paid, right? There's no escaping that fact. It's just that
are they being paid their full value?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
Because when Colin Kaepernick did his when he took a knee, right? When he took a knee for like police brutality and everything, all these
against police brutality.
Against brutality. Whoa. Let's not take that out of context. That was but a lot of Karens like got like super like they went super sane. And because they were like, oh yeah, he's making millions of dollars. Why is he not respecting the flag? It's like, yeah, he's getting paid millions of dollars, but how much money are the owners of the team making? And what are they doing? They're doing nothing. They hire a GM to do all the team building work. They hire a head coach to hire to coach the team, and then like the head coach and the GM work together, and they hire their own staff. Like this guy has no input on what's going on in the team. He just
unless he's Jerry Jones.
Unless he's Jerry Jones, then he's like screwing up the entire team. No, I'm sorry, Ali, bro. Oh, you're not.
Oh yeah,
I forgot. Oh, you're wearing a blue hat. So
okay.
I was just.
I mean, would you say that's necessarily immoral though? Simply for him to hire individuals because he has the capital to do so?
Why is he making the money then?
Why is he making all the money?
He owns the team. And
but like, oh man.
Because he put those individuals in places to succeed, right? Isn't that the whole structure of the business?
Okay, how much... let's search this up.
So you're saying the dude that makes, let's say, Jerry Jones, or whatever. Let's
rip on Jerry Jones.
No, NFL owner X, right?
No,
Shad Khan.
Jerry Jones. All
right.
Let's stick with Jerry Jones.
Hypothetically, right? No offense to Mr. Jones. Hypothetically, we're using him as a placeholder in this case. This gentleman makes, let's say, however many millions or billions of dollars, right? And you're telling me that he's not paying these individuals properly? Is that your argument, that he's not giving them what they're worth?
Yeah, absolutely. How much is the Cowboys? Net worth? Do you know?
I don't. I think it's a few billion, right?
It's the most profitable franchise in the league. I think one of the most profitable.
Yeah, it is. No, it's in all sports.
$5.5 billion.
Yeah.
What percentage of that are the players played, and what percentage of that are the players responsible for building?
Okay, so I don't see the players complaining.
They should be.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, no, but there's a difference.
You a player
here,
representative,
right?
boys?
There's a difference over here when like if somebody like Colin Kaepernick does complain against the system, and I know he didn't like specifically single out the exploitation of like athletes, but you know when they get a little bit vocal, they're like shut down. You know, it's like do your job, you know, kick the ball.
Shut up and dribble.
Yeah, shut up and dribble.
That's an actual thing that needs to get set on fire.
Yeah, it's dang. Wow. But. That's why you don't hear them speaking up because and for a lot of them they also like know true poverty in a way that that we don't, so it might be like beneficial for us to use our place of privilege to speak out for them, you know? That's the only reason we're bringing it up.
100%.
I'm not saying to, bro. I was just asking.
I have nothing to gain either way.
I'm just clarifying. Yeah.
I'm just looking for a more just world. Like, yeah.
I mean, what were we talking about?
We were talking about the exploitation of athletes. That's what we were last talking about before.
I was just asking, bro. I wanted clarification.
Kind of a liberal point, but okay, I'll allow it.
Mr. Jerry Jones.
I don't like liberalness on my podcast.
Okay.
So when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, right? A lot of people were like, oh, why he gets paid millions of dollars, and like they didn't really look at the essence of the point that he was trying to make,
which was
that unarmed black people in this country get gunned down and are subject to more violence than white people or other people of color, like in general.
Anybody else in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that was the point that he was trying to make. So like we use this excuse that athletes are paid millions of dollars to discredit the fact that they're really not paid the full like the full worth of what they're producing, right?
Because I mean, God knows I'm not going to a Cowboys game to see Jerry Jones in his box.
Yeah. What were we talking about? I actually
so going back to like the injustice.
I want to leave like a little bit of gap because we're gonna have to spice it up.
Okay. Going back to like injustices with athletes, you also see like student athletes. I mean, you mentioned football, basketball, right? These are just the two outlets that also make billions and millions of dollars. But also you see like much smaller sports that kind of get pushed to the side. And also you see like the funding or the income, the massive revenue that these sports make, they're not being funneled properly in the right ways. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, we're going to make $500 million off of like football or basketball, right? And all these contracts from television, television networks and whatnot, and sponsorships. That in and of itself is not being funneled back appropriately, in my opinion. Just because it's every year you see, for example, a Division I university, it's always football, basketball, and whatever other sport it is, right? It's like this is a lineup, and you see, I mean, you're bringing that much money. Shouldn't you be able to refunnel it into your academia as well? Like your research, your programs that you have for students in order to see your entire student body grow?
Hell, even other sports,
Yeah.
Like the thing is, basketball and football are like so heavily prioritized, but that money is not used. Like the thing is, like if you have a diverse student body on your campus, you're gonna have people who are interested in, I don't know, like becoming the next Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Right? And track and field programs are definitely not funded anywhere near as well as like the football and basketball teams,
I
right?
think like one place where this is like very definitely evident is women's gymnastics and men's gymnastics too. Like if we really wanted to like get into like gymnastics, like remember that one guy a couple years ago, he was a trainer. He like sexually assaulted.
Oh, he was a
at the
doctor.
Olympics,
He was
right?
a U.S. team doctor. Yeah.
Doctor.
At the 2016 Olympics.
What is his name?
I don't know.
He had been doing it for over a decade, man. Over a few decades. It wasn't.
I read some of the stories, bro. It's just like
It's sickening.
It really was.
It really is very
Definitely
disgusting.
sickening, bro. This is terrible.
I think his name was Larry Nassar.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a child molester, man.
Yeah, like oh my god, man. We have to make this like rated R if we want to talk about what exactly he did. But what happened was that all this like you're gonna first of all you're not gonna pay these student athletes, right? And then you're gonna ruin their life for like the next 20, 30 years. dealing with the trauma that comes with this. And there's like so many documentaries on YouTube you can go and watch. Like they talk about the consequences of athletes and how they weren't able to capitalize on their successes in college and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's like so many gymnasts and where we did so well in college and like they worked really hard and you know how like there's like this common saying that like liberals say like, oh yeah, pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like these athletes literally did that. Like they're literally pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and they're afforded no opportunities so that they can succeed later in life.
Yeah.
Like it's really unjust, man. It's really unjust. It's really unfair. Like what happens to these athletes? Like
No, the world of college sports is just.
it's really.
It seems like there's a lot of.
Sliminess.
Yeah, sliminess and like mishandling. Like. The reason that we pay tuition and all that in the first place is to have a decent college experience, be able to better ourselves, create an opportunity for ourselves, and at the same time be able to further explore some of the things we enjoy, but aren't going to be exactly profitable for us, like aren't 100% aligned with our career path. But to take all that and just funnel it into whatever's making the university money, making the few board members and like coaches and highest paid like professors, whatever, the money off the work of the students is just sickening, and I think this is one of the biggest ways that college students in general are exploited in this country. You don't see that so much in academia. Like I don't know. Adi, you can tell us maybe like do the force undergrad students to write papers during late hours of the night that they won't get any credit for when the patent comes out. I'm not sure. But,
yeah. No, man, it's definitely.
But yeah, you definitely see this.
I mean, I know like there's a lot of students that like if you want to like pivot to something non-sports related, right? Like I know a lot of students like that work in labs and stuff, or like they do research stuff for labs, and like they're really not seeing the full benefits of that if they were like if they got that full representation of like the work that they did in their lab, like there's some like we always see this phenomenon, right? Like the behind the invention, like behind the inventor of like an invention. Like remember, like we used to always think like Thomas Edison was like the son.
The man of 1,000 inventions.
Yeah, like
I remember that in grade school.
Godlike figure, like, and then like it turns out that Nikola Tesla was like behind most of his inventions, like alternating current.
Yeah, him or other employees that he had. He
like,
barely did anything.
Yeah,
himself.
and like he was like an idiot. Thomas Edison was actually an idiot, and like it's like yeah. So like we see that like usually people that are at the head of these organizations, be it like college sports, like the head of college sports, the owners of NBA teams, owners of NFL teams. Like we always see that these guys are. We will see that these guys just always profit off, and they get the benefits of the hard work of the students that are underneath them, or the athletes that are underneath them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This episode is talking about wellness.
Yeah, right.
So another aspect of wellness is like social wellness, also, right? Mm-hmm. And one way that students socialize in college on college campuses is through frats and fraternities and stuff like that.
Right.
Or sororities, I guess, if you're a woman. What are your thoughts on that? I know. Ali is a great supporter of fraternities.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Fraternities are. I mean, man, they're an interesting institution. I mean, it originally came about simply to as you mentioned, to like bring people together, more or less. Mm-hmm. The only issue I think becomes when like fraternities become a means by which you exclude others. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Is that really the only problem with fraternities?
If we're going to speak in generalities, no, man. I mean, fraternities, we see like an increase in
hazing rituals,
rituals, rape cases, sexual assaults, parties that lead to alcoholism. Yeah, you mentioned. I mean, yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. So, do the do the means justify the ends in those regards? Is the fraternization and the camaraderie that you get from those institutions really a benefit?
Mm-hmm.
Some would say yeah. Some would say yeah. You know, man, we get together, we're just having fun. You know, it's whatever. But you have this advent of sexual assault that occurs on campuses.
Rape culture.
Rape culture. Yeah, boys will be boys, and it's to a certain degree it's
talk.
It's just locker room talk. It's not. It's weird how we kind of just perceive frats as this joyous thing, right? It's like, oh, it's just an innocent boys will be boys type of thing, and I'm kind of glad that society is willing to open their eyes and be like, wait a minute, but what about all these cases and all these drug problems and whatnot that's occurring?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't want to generalize all fraternities because I even know some fraternities on my campus that do good work and this and that. But it's like, is this the most conducive environment necessarily to create that kind of good? Like, is there another way that it could be done better rather than just leaving a bunch of like young men unsupervised and like with a history of like encouraging toxic behavior from within them?
When you mentioned toxic behavior, right, and Ali mentioned like how our mentality towards these things like toxic masculinity and concepts like these are changing, and I believe that they're changing, but slowly. Like the public perception of this is like very slowly adapting. It's not very fast. Like really silly example, but like a good example at the same time is y'all remember that Gillette ad? The best a man can get. Like a lot of people started flipping out about it. They were like, oh yeah, like oh he didn't go and try to hit on that girl, or like he stopped his like what was wrong with that ad, bro?
I'll tell you what was wrong with that ad though. He respected a woman. No, I kid. But that's what a lot of people perceived it as, right?
It's like why was everybody freaking out about that ad? Like, to me, in my eyes, there's literally not a single thing wrong with that ad, other than the fact that it was like a razor company trying to sell razors.
Like by like pretending to be woke.
Pretending to be woke. But like other than that, like corporate like wokeness, I guess. They're trying to sell you stuff to shave your face with.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing deeper beyond that. Like, why are you getting so triggered over this? And like the fact that people got triggered over it too. Like, what was wrong with that? Like just tell your kids not to fight. Like, oh, that's like they're hurting. Like they're coming after all men. Like what the hell's like what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't disagree with any point of that ad really, as far as I remember. And there was some good memes that came out of it that
Great
I still,
memes.
Enjoy.
Very spicy.
Some of this is taken way too far, and I feel like coming together as a society to recognize our downfalls is not like reflect bad on us. It's actually a good thing if we can do that.
And very recently, like the Me Too movement, right? Like that's exposed a lot of individuals who act in bad faith.
I mean, isn't Harvey Weinstein in jail now?
Yeah, finally, bro.
Yeah,
he got sentenced. I think it's 23 years.
Yeah,
he's already like super old anyway.
That's too less, man. I don't know. We'll see. But like, just imagine like if that's just that's just one guy. Like, imagine how many more there are. Like, it's just like. I feel like so many.
Despite the Me Too movement, like Brett Kavanaugh was signed into the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah, which is insane. What? His defense was so stupid, man. His defense was actually kind of funny though. He showed everybody his calendar. I don't know if you remember that. He was like, "Oh yeah, look at my calendar. I wasn't scheduled to be here at this party at this time, so yeah, I wasn't there." Hey, have you never seen this?
No.
He literally.
I was like very disappointed with all of it to begin with.
So I followed this very closely. It was hilarious to me. Like to his congressional hearing, right, or like to his confirmation hearing, he brought like his calendar from back in the day, and he was like, "Yeah, my calendars are a big thing in my family." Yeah, he literally said it's like a tradition in my family. Like my father and like my grandfather used to sit down and show me their calendars. What? It was like the weirdest thing, and then he brought the calendar from. Allegedly, he brought his calendar that was allegedly from back back then, right?
Uh-huh.
And he showed that he wasn't scheduled to go to that party or whatever, where he allegedly assaulted that woman.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, this provides concrete evidence that this never happened because I didn't mark it on my calendar."
How's this man a Supreme Court judge?
I don't know, man. This is insane.
That's wild.
Like sometimes,
So I imagine that all of this has an impact, obviously, on the mental well-being and the mental wellness of all students on campus as well. But as I said before, we're gonna save that for next week.
So we want to thank you all for tuning in to episode 3 of the 4th season of the 4th podcast. You can help us grow by giving us a follow on Instagram at the4th.productions and Twitter at the4th_prod. As of now, we hope you have a great rest of your day. This gentleman makes, let's say, however many millions or billions of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And you're telling me that he's not paying these individuals properly?